Alright, I think I'm live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're all doing well today. Well, tonight, I guess. For many of us, it is late in the evening or early in the morning. Yes, hello. Arthur Gordon, woo. Welcome both to you. Thank you for coming. I appreciate the support. Yeah, today I'm working on a commission I have from my close buddy Caboose. He's got several on my plate, which is a good thing. But he's got several he wants me to do right now. One of them is Lord, this guy's got a hell of a name. But Lord Castellan Evandor Garrius. He is the Tyrant of Chthoniya. It's a Horus Heresy model. Actually a fairly popular one, especially for kit bashes, as I've seen. So this is a pretty cool project to work on. So, yeah, I'm technically doing sub-assembly. Technically. Because, I got the head right here, I got the body, and I got the cape. All in separate to do. I think what I'm going to end up doing, I'm going to do the whole main body first. And once that's all set, at least for base coating, I'm going to do the whole main body first. Then I'm going to do the interior of the cape. And then I'm going to do the exterior after the cape. But I'm going to do the exterior after I've already mounted it on. Because that's what it looks like when he's actually put on there. It's just not glued. So, yeah, just going to pull that off. And of course, the wee head will be facing that direction. So just got to keep all that in mind as I work on this wonderful little project. Alpha Omega, welcome to the stream. Asmo, long time no see. I checked out of 40k for a while. So did I. Well, not fully. I've been checking out of the actual hobby side of it for a little while. That's why it's taken me so long to get back to this, because technically this was commissioned from me for a while ago, and I do feel bad for not working on it, but I didn't want to work on it when I wasn't, like, ready to. Like, working on 40k stuff, just forcing myself to after all the controversy stuff, I felt like I wouldn't do as good of a job, because I wouldn't be as passionate about it. But, I've reeled back, and now I'm working on it again, and hopefully I'll get this done. My buddy Caboose has commissioned me to do this guy, Sigismund. Although I'm going to talk to him if he wants me to find a 3D printed model, or if he still wants me to get the official one. Because it is his commission, he's paying for the model in question. So if he wants me to get the official model, as much as I'm personally boycotting GW, he is a client of mine, and if he wants to spend the money for me to grab it from GW, the resin model, I will get it. This is my last, at least for the foreseeable future, my last commissions I have, last commission I have open for 40k for a while. And I agreed to it before the female custodies thing happened. So, yeah. Metal model? Nope, these are resin. Fine cast, actually. When I looked at that, I was not happy. I hate fine cast. I hate resin. I hate resin when it's not 3D printed resin. Like, when it's resin, like fine cast, where it's they're clearly using injection molding, I hate it. But thankfully, it seems with this particular model, it was just fine cast resin. And oddly enough, this is one of the worst. Sorry, not one of the worst. This is one of the best resin models I've gotten to work on from GW. I don't know if that's really much of a compliment, given how bad I usually get with these. But yeah, it is such a pain in the ass. But genuinely, like, assembling this guy was really easy. Again, it's one of the least fucked up resin models I've ever had to work with from GW. Again, not much of a compliment. It's less that this is so good, and more so the rest are so shit. Hey, Nostalgia Vivek, welcome. So yeah, I am going to. Alright, so I am painting him traditional, because that's what the client wants this guy painted as he is supposed to be painted. So I'm gonna use the slap chop method a little bit here to help speed things along. So I'm going to use a contrast paint of Imperial Fist, which looks way brighter on camera. So before I do that, I'm going to dry brush on white. So let me set his cape and his head aside here real quick. Get my dry palette. I was putting together the fine cast for Civoter. The resin sucks. It does. Fine, if you get... resin is not made for injection molding, like, straight up. GW seems to refuse to admit that on some level. I don't know if it's like a stubbornness of not getting an actual proper 3D printer or something. But they've been using plastic for so long. When they started doing fine cast, well, they've also been doing metal molds for so long. They've been doing injection molding across the board for their production for so long. It's just one of those things where when they were trying out different materials for 3D printing, for model making, I think they were just so set in their ways with everything they had already done that when it came time to, try and update with the times and they could use resin, instead of using resin properly for, I'm trying to go light here. I probably should have rubbed that a little bit more off, but I'm just trying to go light on the dry brush here because I don't want to get too aggressive. Just trying to capture the edges. But yeah, so the reason fine cast sucks so much is because it's resin, but is because it's resin injection molding, when resin is really meant more for 3D printing like we all usually do it as hobbyists, with like a printing bed and, layer by layer by layer being built on with UV rays. The way they do it is they put it in a mold like you would for plastic injection molding, and then they just, I guess they somehow, I'm assuming it's a translucent mold, so they can cast light through it, and that solidifies it. But the problem is during the cooling process, it's not like plastic, where once it takes shape and it cools just a little bit, you can leave it alone. Resin, as it cools, it might cool initially and settle on its shape, but then it will still need an extra bit of time to cool in terms of retaining its shape and not fucking up. Because resin takes longer to fully cool, I think is the trick. And what I mean by that is, hold on. It'll initially cool and hold shape and seemingly hold shape well, but it'll still be internally cooling. And as it does, some parts of it will continue to warp. So so that's why Finecast has such an issue with, models arriving at your doorstep with so many like components screwed up. I mean, I will never forget when my Sanguinius model arrived and the sword was like shaped like a C along the curved edge. Hey, Squidburger, welcome to stream. Sorry, did I say I said Squidburger, didn't I? Squigburger. Why did I say squig? Squid. Words. Alright, so for anyone just joining right now, I'm dry brushing white on to catch the edges, because I'm going to do a little bit of slap chop for this model. Yeah, I don't know if it's too visible on it's visible on my camera, but YouTube compression and all that. But yeah, hopefully you guys can tell like the edges have been caught with that white, which really helps it like stand out. So let me know if you guys don't know what the slap chop method is, and I will explain it. But I'm assuming most people here know slap chop. It got really popular over this last year, so I think most people know it by now. All right, hold on, let me get a little bit more white. And I need to do the same thing with the cape. Now, unfortunately, I have no way to hold the cape outside of actually holding the model itself. Get it better on camera here. Hey, Lady Runesong, how you doing, lass? That's really cool. He looks like a weathered statue. Yep. Actually, fun fact, if you ever do want to do just a basic statue, like for terrain, it's super easy to do that and make it look really good. pretty much what I've done is all you need to do. Like, at this point, if I just wanted to make a statue for terrain, I'm done. Like, at the most I do more is add a little bit of washes for, like, weathering or some, like, dashes of black and brown for, like, muddying if it's, like, on a battlefield. But if you just want to make a statue, all you gotta do is prime whatever that terrain is black, do a overshoot of primer spray of, like, a gray or a white, but you're, like, really far away. Do, like, a overcoat of that, like a zenithal highlight, and then dry brush white, and then that's it, you're done. Like, that'll make a solid looking terrain piece. So, little handy trick there for anybody who's interested in terrain building. I'm actually thinking about doing a diorama at some point, but given I have a 3D printer, it should be really easy to do. So I'm just thinking of what I want to do, though, for a diorama. Hey, Simple Smile. Brothers, don't forget to leave a like. Yes, thank you. Great free way to support a brother. Indeed it is. It's free. Hopefully it's not too strenuous. I don't know. Maybe there's someone out there, like, every time they click, it's just, like, it takes away a year off their life. If that's your circumstance, don't leave a like. But for everybody else, please leave a like. There we go. I think I need a little bit more weight. What is this figure? This is a Horus Heresy model. It's in the title of the stream, but it's Castellan. It's Lord Castellan Evandor Garrius. He is an Imperial Fist from the Horus Heresy era, and he is the Tyrant of Chthoniya. I don't know the full detail lore of him off the top of my head. I do know of the character. He's not one of the more popular ones, I don't think. As far as I know, he doesn't even actually have any official artwork. He just has his model. But, yeah, he was most notable for... Hold on. I'm trying to carefully do this at the same time as talking. Well, as is the name Tyrant of Chthoniya, he was most notable for having conquered it. But, you know, the word tyrant doesn't exactly put a beautiful picture. For those who don't know, Chthoniya is the effective homeworld of Horus. And when he betrayed the Imperium, the Imperial Fists began immediately, like, reinforcing and like, bunkering down every world they could to hold back the traitors. And one of the worlds that they subjugated, or made sure was still subjugated during it, was Chthoniya. Because that's his homeworld. Obviously, they have a bias towards Horus, so they had to subjugate it. Outside of, like, that really bare-bones bit of lore, I don't know the exact events with Castellan Evandor and the events of... Yeah, like, I don't know... I'm not gonna speak too detail on it, because I don't want to, like, tell you guys something about it, like, that I'm speculating about from his name. But, yeah, like, that's, like, the gist I'm pretty sure about. Okay, so now I get the helmet. You basically finished you're doing Iron Hands 2, since they typically just go plain Ceramite? Yeah. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately. Fortunately, I'm doing Imperial Fist, so it's a little bit more than what I've already done here. But yeah, if you're just doing statues, like, the statues are super easy to do. I used to actually be worried about statues. Well, here's the thing. Basic statues are easy to do. If you do want to go for more of a cool looking statue, if you're looking for a marble look, I do have a trick with that as well to make that easy. Do you guys have, if you have a dryer, like a washer and dryer for your clothes, and you have, like, those dryer sheets, those dryer sheet things, if you take one of those and you, like, pull it, not hard, don't, like, tear it, but if you pull it tightly over a model and spray, if you prime it black and then you put that over it after it's dried and then spray, like, a gray and a white, it'll give a marbling look to it. So, yeah, it's a really, really cool trick. I'm trying to think of I know a YouTuber did it recently. Well, not recently. Shoot. Eric's Hobby Workshop, if you guys have heard of that YouTuber. He does, like, terrain stuff and model work, and he's a 40k fan as well. I don't know if he's woke, don't ask. I don't know. It's probably better that I don't know, because I do like his stuff. But he did the when the Horus Heresy the revamp was happening, he did a video of painting each of the legions. And when he was doing the Emperor's Children, he did a marble base, and he did that trick. He pulled the dryer sheet over it and spray painted it through it with like a white. So that's a good example of what I'm talking about. I knew that trick before that, but I also talked to a lot of the hobbyist guys at my local hobby shop who've been doing it for years. So I learned that trick a long time ago. But that's the first time in my memory I recall a YouTuber doing it. So if you need an example, that's pretty good. Hope he's not woke. I hope he's not either. And if he is, well, it doesn't really matter to me as long as he never brings it up. Like, if he just stays focused on the hobby and like painting and everything, I don't care, right? It's like you leave it out of the content, it's fine. You're not like creating a dividing line. It's the people who like add it to the content and then like take a stand and be assholes about it. That's the problem. How many? Soon on the head there. It's a little break. Alright, so I've dry brushed everything, so I don't think I'll need to use my dry brush again. You're still sticking with Horus Heresy and your Alpha Legionnaires. Gotta have that steel unit ability. Oh. I have yet to be able to play a game of Horus Heresy, sadly. I know a guy in my local area who has an army as well, but he told me he's got the same like tick I do, where I refuse to play a game with a. I refuse to play with an I refuse to play a war game with unfinished models, and that means like full process, like painted and everything. He has the same issue as me, so it's funny the two people in my local area, me and this guy, who are interested in the Horus Heresy game, who both want to play it, but both of us refuse to play it until we have a fully painted army. So we're both kind of stuck in like we want to play it. We have everything we need to play it. But neither of us will play it until we finish an army. So I gotta finish my Blood Angels, and he's gotta finish his I think he went with Heresy. I'm trying to remember what army he said he's doing. Sons of Horus. I think he's going Sons of Horus. I'll have to confirm that, though. Yeah, great Necromunda terrain. Mm-hmm. I've seen the Space Marine 2 trailer. I'm more mad about anything about it. I think I'll reinstall Dawn of War. Recommend any mods? Yes. There's a mod I recommend against. It's the Unification mod, and that's because the people behind it, I hear, have been kind of assholes lately and are pulling some stuff. I don't know the exact details, but I'd steer clear of that. Look into the situation, obviously, and if you find there's no issues, go ahead and get it, but stay away from Unification mod. The mod I usually play is the Ultimate Apocalypse mod. That also has an issue where a lot of the devs, though, who were working on that mod quit recently. And I have that on good authority because one of my best buddies was on the mod team for Ultimate Apocalypse. His name's Nathan. Nathan X2000, for those who watched the podcast I do. He's awesome. He was on that mod team, but apparently there was a huge fallout with their group recently. That being said, as far as I know, the latest update of Ultimate Apocalypse is still working, and it's still fun. So I'd recommend getting that. Oh, I forgot to welcome earlier. Sweet Baby Ink MTL. I have painted that model. He's pretty cool. I really like it. And again, it's really good for kit bashes. Like if you want to do a similar looking model, but let's say you want to. I've seen a couple kit bashes where someone made like a Sons of Horus with it and everything. It's kind of a diverse model in terms of what you can do with it. Dallas for First World Problems. In reference to what? So I gotta use a dryer sheet trick on a bronze statue, make it look weathered and damaged, looked well. Yeah. Stretch. Alright, so now let me apply. Oh, you're also doing Blood Angels. Nice. Oh, heading out. Heading out. Enjoy the stream. Remember, boycott GW. Indeed, my friend. Have a good one, Bombander. Yeah. In terms of the topic of Space Marine 2, I actually talked with a couple of my buddies about it recently. With the Space Marine 2 situation, how do I put this? Actually, I'll ask you guys, because I'm curious, kind of getting a poll for it. What do you guys think about Space Marine 2? Wow, that is thin. That is very thin. Okay. This is a contrast, right? Yeah, this is a contrast? This looks like a wash. But yeah, what do you guys think of Space Marine 2 from everything you guys have seen for it so far? I have my thoughts, but I'm curious what you guys are. That is... what the fuck? You guys see that, right? Why is that so thin? Stormer 248, welcome. Campaign looks alright, but only 6v6 in multiplayer is disappointing. Yeah, yeah. They had a chance to pull off like a... well, not the exact same thing, but I mean, you guys remember the Eternal Crusade game, right? Like that big, like Battlefield style Space Marine game. They had a chance to kind of fit since that game failed. They had a chance to kind of fit that niche a little bit with this one by having, and there's a chance they'll patch it in at some point. But it is sad that they're not taking advantage of it on release of making like bigger style matches. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to just do Averland Sunset. I'm still gonna do the contrast paint, but this is not very impressive right now. Do I have to do multiple layers of it or something? Like normally contrast paint you only want to do one layer. That is... super... yeah, that's like a wash. With like a slight bit more stain. I also haven't thinned it. It's not like I put it on my wet palette. You're excited but worried. For me, I kind of feel it tragically about it, personally. Gameplay looks slick, but I'm so worried about the story. Yeah, I am too. We all heard about the lead writer is like this Woko nutjob. Isn't she the same one that was hired to work on KOTOR, the new KOTOR thing? Or am I thinking of it, or is that a different person? I'm probably thinking of a different person. Secondhand keys priority. GW probably only gets tiny amounts from a sale anyway, but if the option's there. Yeah, that's part of the conversation. Is it's kind of like the Hogwarts Legacy. Everyone remembers that, right? For those who, like, even if you weren't interested in Hogwarts Legacy as a game or Harry Potter stuff at all, I'm assuming everyone here's familiar with what the controversy of the game itself and like how people were proclaiming they'd boycott it because part of the reason was they didn't want to support J.K. Rowling. Well, a common thing a lot of anti-woke people pointed out to the woke about that was even if you bought the game in droves, she's only going to get like 1%. And in the face of all her other stuff and profits, that's a drop in the bucket. With GW, there's a place for that argument as well, but my buddy Nathan actually pointed this out to me. He's like, with their company though, they're as a company as a whole, as an IP holder, it's not like J.K. Rowling where she's like a single individual who's profiting a shit ton from her books and all the other merchandise that, yeah, Hogwarts Legacy would be a drop in the bucket. But especially given all of the avenues of 40K are now hemorrhaging at the moment, if we all bought, the video games in droves, even if it is just a percentage of the profits that they get, that's still going to be probably a huge profit for them as opposed to like J.K. Rowling, who's like a billionaire, right? Especially since they're a company with lots of people for that money to go to. So there's a little bit more of a concern with this support bleeding onto GW. As I personally currently stand with the Space Marine game, I am not getting it regardless, unless a trusted reviewer I like comes out and says, "Hey, it's not woke. It's not broken." That's a big thing. It's not a broken piece of shit video game. It's not woke. It's not broken, and it's not so egregious on the microtransactions. That's the one I think is gonna be a problem regardless. Like the microtransactions are gonna be shit. Hola, Asmogan. I love your work. Keep it up, buddy. Cheers from Mexico. Ah, thank you, my friend. Thank you, amigo. I am not going to try and... I took Spanish in high school. I'm not going to insult you by trying to say anything in Spanish. I was about to, but I was like, no. Let me not butcher a beautiful language. Sorry if you guys can hear my dog. Sadly, she and I are the only ones still awake right now. Yeah, I was able to take my mother out today for Mother's Day stuff. Before anyone says, well, it's not Mother's Day, that's because I wanted to take her out on Mother's Day. But she went, no. I went, it's Mother's Day, I'd like to take you out. No. Why? Because I want to do other stuff today. I'm not in the mood. Take me out next weekend. I tried to take her out last weekend, which was next weekend for Mother's Day. Again, with the, no, it's sunny out, I want to work on the garden, I want to help out with the horses. It's like, would you just let me take you out to dinner, Mom? Finally, I was able to nail her down today and be like, all right, we're going to get food. You're going. Fine. The woman has to fight me on everything. Well, I'm adding another layer here because that is way too thin. I think about if they could pull off an MMO style game and how complex. Well, the thing is, they tried to. We actually talked about the MMO that they tried to make for 40K on the Voxwork podcast recently. I think it was the last episode, but I could be wrong. Trying to remember what it was called. But they did try and make a 40K style MMORPG, which I didn't even know until I looked it up. Like I thought I knew they did it with with Warhammer Fantasy. I didn't realize they tried to do it with 40K, but they did do it. They did try and do it. Alright, so let me see if I can... Yeah, this is the thinnest contrast paint I have seen. Don't you dare bubble on me. Yeah, I'll probably use this as the base coat for the whole model, and then I'm going to use Averland Sunset over it to actually give it that yellow pop it should have. The thing is, I know yellows are notoriously bad, like, in terms of making them, because they either thin too much or they spread too unevenly. Something about the color of yellow is just a huge pain in the ass. But this is almost a wash. Like, this is borderline a wash. Yeah, 'cause that is super translucent. But good news is I have a workaround, so it's not too bad. Alright, let me set that over here real quick. You missed the Warhammer Fantasy MMO. There are private servers. If you guys want to look it up, there are private servers for it. I think there one was it? I almost said Josh Strife Hayes, but it's not Josh Strife Hayes. It's a similar styled YouTuber. Oh shoot. Damn it! I really like the content creator too. I feel bad. I'm blanking on his name. Hold on. Let me look him up so I do him justice. But there is a content creator, who has been covering like MMOs and stuff, and he actually made me aware of the Dragon Ball Online private servers that are English translated and stuff. It's like Dragon Ball Online Global, which I freaking love. And I always wanted to play that MMO, so he was really cool. John B. Hey, Asmogan, I was wondering if you have a P.O. box. I do not. And the thing is, I never thought I would need one, because, you know, like, I've never been, like, super obsessed with, like, growing as a content creator, and I'm the kind of person where I kind of, well, this might be technically wrong some of the time, but I tend to live in the moment. So I never figured I'd be big enough where people would want to send me stuff outside of like my clients for like commission work. It's like I did get a like Matthew Gordon, for example, in the chat. He and his folks sent me some cool stuff after I did a commission for him not too long ago. But outside of like that kind of stuff, I never thought I'd need a PO box. But sadly, answer John is I do not have one. But I might get one. You know. I never figured I'd be like big enough where people would want to send me stuff to work on or anything like that. In that capacity, if that makes sense. As it is, I'm actually shocked, like, I've grown after all the drama. Like, it's weird for me, but I don't know. I'm just a dude. You played a few MMOs back in the day. City of Heroes, yes. Star Wars, Old Republic, I like that one. I played Star Wars Galaxies a lot back when that was out, until they ruined it. But yeah, I really like that one. Only MMO you play is the Star Wars one. Oh, is the Old Republic, right? I used to, for those who don't know me, or are newer to my channel, I used to be huge into World of Warcraft. Like, for context, the very first video game I ever played, my dad introduced me to, and it was Warcraft 3. That was the very first video game I ever played. I was 5 years old. I obsessed over it. Played it all the time when I came home from school, from elementary school. And I got actually decently good at it. And fun fact, my reading level increased really well with it because the game has like cinematics and stuff with like written text. So my dad actually tricked me into learning. And I actually confirmed this with him recently. Is my dad actually realized that I was suffering in my reading level. And when my mom was trying to figure out of ways to get me interested in reading properly and stuff when I was 5, my dad was just like I had a hold my beer moment, and he sat me down to play a video game because he's like, okay, we're gonna trick him. He's gonna play a game and not realize he's learning. So he sat me down to play Warcraft 3. which has those text segments that come up with cinematics, and the characters talk over it. Now, I would read those as the characters talked, and that helped my reading level increase. Now, my dad, realizing that was working and was helping me out, when I turned 6, he sat me down to play World of Warcraft, which didn't have the quest text read for you. So I had to learn to read the quest. So he would sit down with me, next to me while I played World of Warcraft, and every time there'd be quest text, I'd be like, what's that say? And he's like, well, spell it, like, sound it out, spell it out, talk to yourself. What's it seem like it says? I went from having a slightly below average reading level for my age to having almost double my reading level by the time I was hitting middle school. Like, by the time I hit 6th grade, I was almost at a senior in high school's level of reading comprehension. Like, to the point that I was, like, quoting words and, like, paragraphs and stuff for school essays, like, from a thesaurus. So, unironically, video games helped me learn, and my dad tricked me into education. And recently I called him out on that. I'm like, did you do that on purpose, or was that just happenstance? And he went, no, I intended that to work. He's so nonchalant about it, too. Gotta do what you gotta do. I know, right? Oh, my dad figured out the magic idea. Well, I have ALS, and I am sadly not able to do anything with the free Warhammer Plus model I have. That Terminator, I was hoping I could send it to you so it doesn't just sit here. Like, send it to me to paint for you and then send it back? Or, like, you want to give it to me? Also, sorry to hear about the ALS. Thinking of the right thing, I hope. Hey, Tristan Goro, welcome to stream. How you doing? I only play Warcraft 3 in the Warcraft series. Really? You keep it? Oh, that's very kind of you. I'll look into setting up a PO box then. Yeah, I mean, I gotta drive past my post office anyway to get to work tomorrow. So, I'll stream again fairly soon, hopefully, for mini painting, and I'll let you guys know if I get a PO box. But that's very kind of you, though, man. I appreciate it. If you find somebody else you want to send it to in the meantime, I won't take it personally. But yeah, I'll look into setting up a PO box. But yeah, thank you. I learned how to read very well from Legend of Dragoon on PlayStation 1. It's amazing how a kid will learn very quickly when they don't realize they're being forced to learn. I send you a Chris Chan amulet? No, I'll light that box on fire. If I see that in there, I'm gonna pull out a cross, which won't be hard. There's several in the house. I'll just take one off the wall and I'll be like, out of this house! Out of this house! I'll light incense and be like, be gone from this house. That shit ruined Nick Recada's life, man. Speaking of, like, that situation's depressing right now. I've looked into it. That is... Yeah. That's not been going well. Toss into a fire. Toss into a fire with holy water and holy oil and everything holy. Just to try and... Whatever curse is on the Chris Chan items is not worth contracting. That's too much. There we go. Hello, Tyrion. How you doing? But it could be worth it, if only for content, you know? What, the Christian amulet? No. I value my soul, my sanity, and my fate more than the content of, hey guys, I got a Christian amulet. Fast forward 5 years from now, I'm doing drugs and whacking myself off on camera, apparently. For those who don't get the context, like, you guys really need to look into the Nick Rekieta stuff. It is, again, horrifying what has happened to that man. And one of the first meme videos I watched, how are the ghosts at your job? Gone. From that particular room, gone. Like, we removed that desk and removed the desk and the chair. That room hasn't had any creepy noises or weird shifts since. And we have put new furniture in. We put new furniture in. It's supposed to be in a new office. Don't do drugs, kids. Yeah. Or don't do drugs, period, if you can avoid it. And don't do drugs in front of kids. Or around kids. Within like 100 feet desk. What? 100 feet, what's the word I was trying to say there? Radius. Yeah, he has 5 kids. DC Dynamo, welcome to stream. Are you doing NMM yellow? NMM? Can you explain what NMM stands for in this case? What I'm currently trying to do is use the slap chop method for the contrast Imperial Fist. It is not working. Because that is a pretty bad yellow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna still cover it with Imperial Fist to give it that, to be honest, it's kind of like a piss yellow color. And it kind of looks Imperial Fist, but it's slightly too dark. So I'm gonna do Averland's Sunset over it, if I could find it. I know I have a couple of little things of Averland's Sunsets somewhere. Non-metallic metal. I'm doing non-metallic, yeah. I'm going to be doing, there will be metallic bits towards the edges. I'm going to do a gold, I'm going to do Retributor armor over certain bits and bobs, but it's just going to be, like, proper yellow painted with some weathering by the time I'm done. The client, my buddy Caboose, didn't specify the level of weathering, so I do need to confirm that. That's a bit of a, we're nowhere near that stage yet. But when I get to the weathering stage, I do need to confirm with him how much he wants to do. But, yeah. For now, just doing standard metal. Standard yellow. So, I'm going to finish coating it with Imperial Fist Contrast, despite the fact that I'm not a fan of that color. But again, once I overcoat it with Averland Sunset and just leave this kind of for, like, the edges and stuff, it should look fine. Poor souls. Yeah. If you want, you could send me an email. It's difficult for me to keep up with everything due to everything I'm dealing with. Potentially. I don't want you to leave your email in the middle of a live chat just in case, someone's, random people send you stuff. But, if you'd like, you can go to my call line Discord. I'll share a link. I'll share a link in the description. I'll also share it in chat real quick. And then you can DM me about it. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear stuff is going rough for you though, man. Hope whatever's going on eases off for you. Would it have been better if it started with magenta? Would it have been better if it started with magenta? Well, probably now that I know how thin this is. I was kind of hoping, because the contrast paints I've mostly used so far have been the darker shades. Like the Night Lord's contrast paint, for example. That one was amazing. Like, you use the slap chop method with that, you literally all you have to do is what I've done up to this point, which is prime black zenithal highlight with a gray, and then dry brush with a white, and then you cover it over with that contrast paint. It looks fucking amazing. Like, you could paint a whole army with that method very quickly. This, however, contrast paint has been disappointing. It's super thin is the problem. It's almost like a wash with a slight bit more stain, but that yellow stain is not, it's not a vibrant yellow like it should be. So it is presenting a bit of a problem. But in hindsight, probably would have been better to start with a magenta, but I was just using my practice with the Night Lord's color. I didn't think it would be this thin. But, started how I have, and it'll be fine. I can, again, go with the Averland Sunset color over it, and it should just be fine. Nick also had force multipliers around said kids. Force multipliers? I don't know how you even get to that point. I don't know either. The thing is, as far as I understand it, like nobody know, like even his close friends and stuff were kind of surprised by this like latest update. So it's something's clearly been happening in the background that nobody knows about, is what I'm getting from the gist of Nick Recada's situation. Granted, I have no skin in that game too much. Like, I don't know Nick Recaida personally, so I can't comment like on his character as a person outside of being a content creator. I can only comment to what I've seen as a viewer. If you would ask me, like, even a year ago, like, hey, who would you think, like, someone like Nick Recaida would be doing drugs and whacking himself off on camera and stuff? I would say very firmly no, and I'd be like, are you crazy? The guy's a lawyer. Apparently, everybody's capable of being stupid. Because I've also heard he's representing himself. Listen, I'm not even a lawyer, and I know that's dumb. Because it's not only is it dumb to represent yourself, even if you're a lawyer and you know the law, but it's dumb to represent yourself. But the fact that he's also representing the other two people involved, which I've heard is his wife and his girlfriend. That's how it was put to me. I don't know how true that is, and that has only led to me asking more questions. His wife and his girlfriend. That sounds like a meme. But yeah, I don't know how you get to that point either. Like, granted, I live in the sticks. I'm a farm boy. I've never even encountered a drug dealer in my life. So, unless you count the pharmacists. If you count pharmacists, I've met many drug dealers. But yeah, like this is a kind of thing I've never lived in a city. Well, I've traveled through cities, but I've never lived in a city. I've never lived in such areas where this kind of thing is common. So for me, like, I'm probably the worst person to ask, like, how people get to this kind of situation. I have no clue. But I'm also in a circumstance where I've never even had the offer of temptation for it, so I can't even speak to it at all. The running theory seems to be that he's become friends with the wrong YouTubers who are now laughing at his situation and monetizing it. Who would those be? He was friends with Vito, who defends cute. Oh, I know who you're talking about. Doesn't Vito do a show with what's the guy's name? Dick Masterson, I think is the name of the guy. Force multiplayers, YouTube speak for. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's. If you had firearms in the house, that's exponentially worse. Like my family, we have firearms in the house, but we don't have any children in this house. Me and my dad have the spirit of children in terms of how stupid we could be, but yeah, like, you know, for me, I'm not scared of guns, and guns being in a house with kids is okay as long as they're locked away, they're safe, they're not loaded, and you keep the ammo separate. As long as you take safety precautions, and obviously you make sure the kids have no way to get to it, it's fine. But when the threat isn't the kids getting access to it, but you accessing it because you're under the influence of mind-bending narcotics and drugs, and are very much impaired in terms of your decision-making, yeah, that can lead to some horrific scenarios. So the negligence in that situation is pretty gross. That is pretty gross. Yeah? Okay, so he's with Dick Masterson. Why would he be friends with Vito? Like, that guy's a fucking creep. Like, I've seen him in several stuff, and he's always given me the heebie-jeebies. Aren't a lot of gun charges, like, instant... a lot of things related to guns are very, very much felonies. Like, if you're operating firearms under the influence, a lot of states and federally, I'm pretty sure, that's a felony. Yeah, for the most part, you're right. Like, I really can't think of many circumstances where the operating of a firearm in some form of, like, negligence or inebriation wouldn't be a felony. So, yeah. In their case, though, they weren't... I didn't see, like, all the clips and footage. They didn't ever pull out the guns, though. Like, they were clearly under the substance of illegal substances. Or, sorry, under the influence of illegal substances. But as far as I know, they never, like, actually pulled out any firearms or anything. They were just being incredibly irresponsible. But they didn't actually access them. So that does make it better. I do think that means that they won't actually see any charges in relation to the firearms. Then again, I'm not sure how aggressive... I think he lives in... I almost said Wisconsin. It's not Wisconsin, is it? It's Minnesota, right? Nick Ricada lives in Minnesota. So, assuming their laws aren't too different from the federal and from, like, the ones in my state. That being said, I don't think that that'll succeed. I think they are... from everything I've seen, and from everything I've heard about the situation, they're entirely screwed, because it doesn't matter how good of a lawyer you are. If the warrants are all good, everything was signed correctly, and all of the seizures were done appropriately, and like if every single T is crossed and I is dotted, Nick Ricade is screwed. Because if they had more than 25 grams of a controlled substance, that's it. Like, it doesn't matter what you argue in court, you're gonna get charged and sent to prison. And that was him, his wife, and again, everyone says his girlfriend. I don't know if that's a joke or if that's serious, but The most I think will end up happening is a plea deal. And I don't even know if they'll offer him that. Because if they got him, his wife, and his girlfriend side piece, yeah. If they got them pinned to the wall, if they have all the evidence, if they have all of the T's crossed, I's dotted, if they have not messed up anywhere along the seizure process, the warrant, the seizure, and the arrest, the most that he's going to be able to do is try and plead out or argue down the sentence of the severity of the crime. But as for getting acquitted or getting let off, that's a pipe dream. Like, there's no way that's going to happen. Not that I could think of. Granted, keep in mind, I'm not a lawyer. So I'm talking purely out of what I've experienced with the legal system, and that's tangential relation. Like, I have family members who have gone to law school. I haven't. But I've had a lot of conversations with them about it, and, like, I've learned a little bit. But, again, I'm not a lawyer. Don't take what I say as gospel at all. I mean, by the way, sorry for bringing the mood down. No, you're fine. You're fine. I only said that to explain why I want to send it to you. I've spent an eventful life, including deploying to Iraq, so don't feel bad. No, it's fine, man. Like, it's okay. Yeah, like, no problem at all. And, yeah, that's fine. That's fine at all. And, again, very generous of you to offer. I will look into setting up a P.O. box. Assuming it's not too much of an expense, I could probably do it within the next few days. Assuming the paperwork isn't a pain in the ass. I've never set up a P.O. box, so it'll be a new experience. He's facing at least 20 years in jail time. Girlfriend is claiming she's tricked into all... of course. Wait, isn't he representing her? I know he was trying to. I don't think he can legally. Alright, did I... go... Okay, I think I covered everything that I needed to in the appeals. So let me find my Everland Sunset. Let's start applying that yellow. Wait, is that Everland? No, that's Flash Kits, but I will need that Flash Kits. So let me find my Everland. Flash Kits. Everland. That is so yellow. It's kind of a very translucent yellow. I'd say if you were not very particular about this shade of yellow, this would be serviceable to go on the tabletop with. Yeah. Army infantry. Nice, man. That's is it E4? No, I think I'm thinking of the wrong rank. Because I thought E4 was infantry in the army, but I might be totally off. Apologies if I am. No, that's like specialist and corporal. I'm not gonna pry into it too much. You know, I don't want to. 11B. Oh, you were 11B. Bravo. Okay. Note to self. 11B. Infantry. Wow. Mad respect to you, brother, and thank you for your service. Mad respect to you, man. Gunnar NWP, welcome to stream. Coldplay Yellow called and is asking you to step off their sadness. Coldplay? Yeah. Send them a message back saying no. Probably did. You 91. Yeah. I have mad respect to military officers. I mean, I got to work with lots of veterans when for those who know it, I worked for a company called Bath Iron Works, which is under General Dynamics. That's a company contracted by the United States military to, specifically the Navy, to design and build warships for our Navy, mostly destroyers. Our bread and butter while I worked there was, and I think it's still that way now, is Arleigh Burks. We also worked on the Zumwalts, which we only ended up making 3. Well, we only made 2. I think Ingalls made 1. I do find it funny though that it was their design which we made. But that's the closest to military service. I mean, I did ROTC in high school, but I didn't finish ROTC, and B, I never went into service. So I got to do tangentially related to the military is design warships for the Navy. I worked as a designer, and did that for 2 years. I'm proud to have worked on what I did. I hope it does help our boys in the water, but I have mad respect to veterans. A lot of the ones I worked with were pretty no nonsense. I liked them. I had a lot of good mentors while I worked there. Alright, let's get this Avalon Sunset going. 4th Brigade 2 ID deployed in 07. Damn, man. Yeah. Do you stream this to Twitch too, or just YouTube? Just YouTube. I used to stream on Twitch. I think I still have a Twitch account, but I stopped streaming over there after the Dear Girl stuff. For those who know what I'm talking about. Like, that was such a moment for me where I was just like, what the fuck is going on with reality? Like, Twitch has recognized this person and given them authority, and they're flaunt. Not only are they psychotic, but they identify as a deer person, and they're now bragging about how people should be afraid of them for the power that they're wielding. Like, I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. I still feel like that, actually. So, yeah, pretty much just stick to YouTube. Also, it costs money to stream to multiple platforms at the same time, because you got to use like a service like Restream.io and other stuff like that. If it was free, I'd do it more readily, but it didn't really seem worth it to spend the money. Because, you know, I didn't get a lot of viewership on Twitch, so... I'm trying to keep myself on camera here, but the camera's a little far forward. Actually, let me see if I can do this without ruining anything. Okay, that's a little bit better. He's got a Dark Angels. Wait, who? Oh, your British Army. Oh, nice. A big one or a small Dark Angels force? Did you see a deer person got shot in the woods in South Carolina? Wait, what? No. What? The same one or another one? Because if it's another one, I have a question. What's in the water that we need to remove to avoid more people falling into this strange affliction of believing they're deer people? There we go. Alex Jones missed one of the chemicals being put in the water. I guess so. Someone shot a furry? We live in the Twilight Zone. I don't know. Someone went back in time and stepped on an ant. Like, that's how weird it feels sometimes when I wake up. Just like, what happened? Someone dressed up in a deer fursuit and was in the woods during hunting season and got shot. Okay. I don't really have anything to say more. Okay. Okay. I don't know anymore. People are so dumb. Oh. You can't even... I'm sorry. This is morbid of me, but you can't even feel bad. That's just a level of stupidity that's just special. Hey, what's the... I'm gonna go outside in the deer outfit. Did you check what time of season it is? Yeah, it's hunting season. Okay, well, you're gonna get the genuine deer experience. Good luck. Those rednecks practice year-round on how to aim. Started painting Space Marines to help regain dexterity in my left hand after I got... Eesh. Oh. I hope it's going well. I mean, this is a pretty good dexterity exercise. And it could be a lot of... It's also a very good way to de-stress. I don't know, I gotta say, I still have... Despite the fact that I've been doing this for years, I still have pretty shaky hands. I might have thought it was a Wendigo. Well, it depends on how the outfit looked. The outfit looked suspect enough, it might have. And he paid... 10 points. I give that dad joke 10 points. He paid... Natural consequences. It went to hell when that goddamn gorilla got shot. I do find that funny that the internet has almost simultaneously agreed that what screwed up our timeline is that Harambe got shot. Everything since then has just made no sense. The guy who freaking shot Harambe. How was I supposed to know? Oh, God. See, Disney attempted to purchase it. I did see that, and they're probably going to succeed. unless this is one thing that I know Japan's pretty like protective of its like media and stuff. So there's a chance they'll fail just on the grounds that Japan doesn't want to sell any of its studios or anything to a American company. They might have laws about that, but I don't know how strict they are. Like I'm hoping there's something in Japan that prevents that, because if we're just talking, if the only thing that's gonna decide whether or not that companies from the US like Disney and stuff buy out anime studios, the only thing that's gonna stop that is some kind of law. Because if it's just down to how much they offer, Disney, they're made, despite all their failures, they're still made of money. They're still reeking in cash, so they still have the economic power to buy anything at this point. So they just need to hit the right dollar amount to be convincing enough to one of these studios. Hopefully none of the best studios. Because God knows that the reason they want to buy them is they want the profits that those anime studios are starting to bring in these days, because anime is more popular in the Western media. The problem is Disney are going to be stupid about it. They're not going to realize that the reason it's more popular is because anime is not censored. It does cater to its audiences. And it's not afraid to make, sometimes seedy stuff. And artistically expresses itself in a way that's not a politically motivated shithole. I don't see Disney being smart enough to realize that's why. So they're just going to be like, oh, it's the art style, and we in the West can't do it as well. So we'll just buy out one of the studios that does it already. And then we're just going to put in all the political stuff we do here, and it'll be fine. We're going to see massive success. Then they do it. Watch how fast it goes to shit like Forspoken did. Then again... tentacles. Not every piece of anime has tentacles in it. Thank God. I'm glad they lost their immunity to Florida. I agree. I am happy about that. I should probably sleep since that's when I go off for work. Good night. I have a good night, Nostalgic Vivek. Sleep well. You should have gone to bed a while ago. Disney's tempted to... Yeah, I saw that. Did you hear Steam may be bought by Microsoft? Oh God, no. I did not hear that. I really hope that ain't gonna happen. Because that'll be bad. Not as bad as if Sony bought them, but that'll be bad. I don't really see, oh no, Asmo. The dono link says it's broken. What? The super chat link or the... or the, stream link? Oh yeah, it is broken. What the fuck? Oh, let me go to Streamlabs and see why that's broken. The message, yeah. I find it scary. I hope it's just a one-off. But did you guys see that Critical Drinker liked the Fallout show? I haven't finished the show, to be fair, but I'm up to episode 3 with my friends. I'm already extremely hateful of the show, so I have no idea how or why he likes that show. Oh, let me set this down. Everyone's allowed one bad take. If it becomes a pattern, it's where you drop off of him. Yeah, I haven't dropped off, but it's a for me, it's a bad sign. It was eh. I hated that show with a passion. Like, I'm a huge fan of the original Fallouts, like 1, 2, Tactics. I also really love New Vegas. It's my favorite out of the 3D ones. Made, well, the ones made by Bethesda. No, not Bethesda. Well, it was made by Obsidian, but it was under Bethesda's ownership of the IP. Point is, like, that's all the stuff I love. And that show is based where Fallout originates. It's with Shady Sands and stuff. And what that show has done is horrifying. Alright, let me see if I can fix this. I don't want to hold up the stream by trying to fix the donation link. I'll have to figure it out later if it's not like a couple of clicks I can fix. You also never played the games. I think that's what contributes to that. Oh, that's why. That's why the link isn't working. They want me they want me to pay their monthly fee. Ah, fine. Wait, this account is unable to subscribe. Why? Okay, so apparently I need to call support in Streamlabs because they won't let me sign up for their damned subscription service. Did they ban me? They might have banned me. I will have to find that out. Well, for now, if you guys want to donate, you'll have to use the super chat link. If you don't want to do super chat, that's fine. Thank you for even consider donating. It's super generous of you. But yeah, they're blocking me from using their service, so I'll call their support team and see what's going on. It could be is just a simple case of like they saw something suspicious on the account activity and they've restricted it. And it's just, like, I need to clear that up with them. It might be they've actually banned me. I'll have to say. Oh, well. Trigger's not been subverted. He's consuming media as someone who remembers when subtle woke is everywhere and we didn't care. Well, the thing is, it's the problem with that show isn't even the wokeness. Like, the wokeness is not really a problem in the Fallout show. The problem with the Fallout show is everything it did to the Fallout lore is a complete fucking crime. Like, that show is a criminal offense to the Fallout franchise. In every way that I care about Fallout. Like, it is such a horrendous... I can't say that word on YouTube. Yeah, I can't even think of like an alternative word to use to... It is a violation of Fallout lore in every way. So I genuinely despise the creative choices in the writing. The characters and all that is actually kind of good. Like, I like the ghoul. I really fucking hate the... Whoa, damn, thank you, Matthew, going for the generous super chat, man. Thank you. $50. Damn. For your war chest. Hope you didn't get banned. Fingers crossed. And thank you, man. That is super generous of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate the generosity. It goes beyond words. Thank you. Oh, there's my Everland Sunset. Damn, though. Very generous of you, man. That is no small amount. My Everland Sunset's getting a little chunky. Hopefully it's just a glitch or misunderstanding. Fingers crossed. It probably is. I mean, I can't think of anything I've done to piss off Streamlabs. Unless someone, like, sent them an email complaining, because, you know, my recent coverage with the Fem Studies stuff. That could have happened. You know, when Henry Cavill first announced the whole 40k deal, and I was already thinking to myself, there is no way this is going to happen. Lo and behold, we get Fem Studies. Sure, there's more to come. Yeah. And the thing is, I don't blame... Well, it wouldn't have... The woke stuff was already kind of happening behind the scenes with BlackRock and stuff investing in GW. So that's not entirely on Henry Cavill. I feel actually really bad for the guy, because he is very clearly a fan of 40k through and through. You can't take that away from him. Like, I remember his interview, one of the interviews he did for The Witcher, long before he ever got to even think of doing a project with GW and doing this show. So it's not like he was like intentionally like playing it off or anything for advertisement for the potential show. Like, the guy showcased he was a genuine fan of 40k during an interview where he looked up at a decorative chandelier, and he pulls it down, and he says it looks like a Blackstone fortress. Like, you can't fake that. Like, that is not acting. That was just a genuine moment of a fan being a bit of a dork on camera. And I really appreciated that. So, I can't imagine at all he's been happy with anything that's going on. And God only knows, like, what he's having to do in the background to try and mitigate the situation. It's also his favorite faction. He's a Custodes player. So that kind of feels like a personal FU, doesn't it? It's like, of all factions to fuck with, you chose his faction. Of course, I am ready for... You know, I'm always ready to find out a celebrity is a piece of shit. And if it does come out like it was his idea or something, or he was like in support of it, yeah, I'll be disappointed. Don't get me wrong, but I don't worship any celebrity. So if that does happen, I'll be disappointed, but I won't be, you know, I won't be downtrodden or defeated. I'll just be like, well, that sucks. The one guy we thought he was in our corner. But I think this is just a situation of he's between a rock and a hard place. Yeah, that's definitely more of the yellow I'm looking for. I don't blame him. He's just got a black cloud over him when it comes to any IP. Yes. I don't know what kind of, he had to have stepped on, I don't know, he had to have played with a Ouija board at some point when he was a kid, or stepped on like a mirror or something. Something happened where he's got as much bad luck as Will Wheaton. The only difference is Will Wheaton deserves his bad luck. This poor motherfucker. Like, Superman, he did Man of Steel, and it was the most cringy bad like Superman movie ever. Granted, I still think there's still parts of it I liked, but overall, it was not a very good Superman film, especially with how they portrayed Jonathan Kent, Clark's adoptive father. I really didn't like what they did with him. There's lots of parts of that film that they really screwed up, like, badly. and none of it was his fault. It was just like by any other generation of actors, right? This guy would have been a fucking ticket seller. Like he would be playing a badass hero every other movie. He'd be doing awesome crossover stuff. Like any other, like if he had just started a one generation of Hollywood earlier, this guy would have been kicking ass in Hollywood. But like project after project after project, he's constantly put with IPs. Quite a few that, as a nerd, he likes that get fucked. And it genuinely, he always feels like the only one there who's trying. The Witcher one was like depressing, because he was a noted fan of the games, and he liked the books, and that fucked him up. Kid Bash Carnage, welcome to stream. How you doing? What's up, Asmogan? Hope all well, everyone. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How about you? Hope you're doing good as well. I'm currently working on this wonderful gentleman here. I try to use the contrast paint, but as you can tell, it looks a little thin. He could have been the next Bond, the good Bonds. Yeah, I feel so bad for him. Like it's a rare case of a genuine example of he was born in the wrong generation. I wanted to see that new movie he made. Shoot, what was it called? Crap, I'm trying to remember the movie. There was a new movie he came out with. It's like something Ungentlemanly Warfare. Oh, by the way, I just because I have them on my desk, but here's a couple of my Black Templar sword brethren I kind of have on the side here. I just had them there, so I was like, might as well share them real quick. By the way, those are hand-painted crosses. I almost never paint, I almost never use transfers. A, because I don't really know how to do them right. And B, I don't like transfers. But, yeah, here's a couple of examples. These are actually some of my older minis I've done. Like, these are forever ago. Whoever tried to tag me, your post isn't showing. Alpha Omega tagged you. He said he's been at Lady Rune's song. He's been subverted. He liked the Last of Us TV series, which was straight commie propaganda, and his "What Is Woke" video is straight up cope and compromise. Who? Wait, what? I'm confused. But Kibash Card says, "Sweet, yeah, not too bad. Just finished work. Thought I'd come say hello before the drive home." Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope work wasn't too bad. I hope you had well, it's work, so a good time might be a bit of a stretch, but hope it wasn't too bad. Hope it was smooth sailing. Oh, he thinks Drinker's been subverted because he likes shows and most of us don't. Oh, wait. So Alpha Omega thinks that? Did he? Does he? Oh, okay. So if that's what it's just supposed to. I'll have to think about that a bit more. I don't know as if I'd agree he's fully subvert. I'll say he has a gap in the armor. He's got a chink. He's not as staunchly anti-woke as he is for the most part, but there's a chink in the armor, I'll agree to. Yeah, I don't think he's brainwashed. I think that's a stretch, especially since he does call it out when he sees it. So I think the Critical Drinker is more of like a traditional moviegoer, in the sense that like some woke elements, like traditional woke stuff, like back in the 90s, back when wokeism was more like contained. Hey Milk, welcome to stream. Is that contrast yellow? This isn't. This is, and it's fucking ugly. I hate it. That's why I'm painting over it. I I thought that my experience with contrast paints has been positive up until this one. Contrast Imperial Fists, definitely don't recommend. For future reference, just use Averland Sunset. Because, yeah, no. It looks way too... It's like a wash, is my problem with it. Like, it's a slightly more aggressive wash. So, but, yeah, no. I'm very deeply unimpressed with, this one. Airbrushing yellow is the best. That is true. If I had an airbrush, I would absolutely do that. It's too thin. Oh yeah, it's way too thin. It's like a wash. Like, this is not a contrast paint. I'm very unimpressed with I'm very unimpressed with it. But thankfully I did have Averland Sunset on hand to use instead. So, silver lining. And upside is to the washes, at least it did color like the edges and stuff yellow, so I can just kind of panel wash, or sorry, panel paint everything with the Averland Sunset, and it'll still blend. So, should be fine. I only own one contrast paint. I own several. My favorite that I've used for, like, the slap chop method is definitely the Night Lord's blue. Like, that contrast paint, it works wonderful. Like, if you use the slap chop method, like zenithal highlight, dry brush with white, and then use that as the coverage, it looks amazing. I was hoping I'd have this similar experience with a lighter shade like Imperial Fist contrast, but no, it's closer to a piss yellow wash than it is like the other contrast paints. So I guess the rule of thumb is don't use the lighter shade contrast paints. That's gonna be my running theory. But I don't know if there's like an exception amongst the lighter tones. Hopefully they're not all like this one is or was. But this is my first lighter tone contrast to use, and very unimpressed. I'm more of a Razor Fist synthetic man camp. You allow a little and you'll end up where we are now. I'm definitely closer to a Razor Fist. Like, I'm assuming you see my content. If you're here, I'm more on the aggressive side. I do try and be a little bit fair. It's less like letting wokeness in, is more like recognizing what's woke and what's just like traditional diversity, in the sense like it's natural diversity. Like, this character or this thing wasn't written with like checkboxes in mind. They were just written with, okay, here's a cool character idea, and they just happen to have these features in mind, you know? Like, that's like, for me, with the whole woke stuff, or caveats, I guess you could say, to what would possibly perceived as woke. That's why in like the Fallout show, for example, I don't think the main character, at least the female one, is a woke example, because she's not a Mary Sue. She gets her ass kicked, she learns lessons, and she doesn't put down the men around her to prop herself up. If she did all that, totally woke example. But so far, she's just been more of a traditional female protagonist, where she is badass, but she has failings. She's weak at times, you know, that. Who is Razor Fist? If you know BattleTech, he covered BattleTech. He's not a BattleTech creator explicitly. He's very political. But he's a very just I don't know how to put him in words. Look him up and just click on the first video you see that catches your eye from him, and you'll learn very quickly the type of person he is. I like him a lot, but there's a few takes he's had I disagree with. Very few takes I've disagreed with, but one of the takes I disagree with is how he describes 40k. He's very dismissive of 40k, or has been anyway. So, like he was in an interview, I think it was on Side Scrollers, and he was asked about 40k or what he thought about 40k because they were also asking him about BattleTech, and he's like, "Oh, 40k, you mean that culmination of stolen media, or something like that?" He said something akin to that, and I took a little bit of exception to that because in one way I agree with him. Like 40k is very clearly, and it wears its inspirations on its shoulders, the culmination of other media, but I think it's a bit dismissive to say it's just that, because to give credit to the original 40k creators and to the people who've worked on it between the years of like 87 to like 2007, 2008, there was a lot of work to integrate those elements from other media into a cohesive universe and story that feels as good as 40k does. I don't think it's fair to just say, "Oh, it's just other stuff stolen and that's it." It is broadly, but I think it's a little unfair to say that that's all it is. Like there was work put in to make it unique and all fit together into a neat puzzle that is 40k. So I think it's a little unfair to put it that way. So that's the take I disagree with. I don't think 40k is just the culmination of stolen media meshed together. It is that broadly, but it's definitely derivative, 100%, and it definitely stole things. There's no question about that. But there was effort and talent and creativity put into taking those things from other media and putting them together in a interesting and fun way. So, though I agree roughly, I don't agree with the sentiment because it was very dismissive, and I just don't agree with it. It's more like that now than it has ever been. But again, between the years of 87 to 2008 or so, like the golden age of 40k lore, I would say there was a lot more creativity and effort put into it than just dismissing it that way. That's as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, that's like the only take I could think of that I staunchly disagree with for the most part. And I only staunchly disagree with the sentiment, not necessarily like. Again, I agree that 40k is the culmination of stolen elements from other media put all meshed together randomly. But again, there has been solid effort over the years to put it together in a creative way. So I think that's a little unfair. Like the specific sentiment he had about it. But that again, I don't want to make it sound like I dislike Razor Fist or anything like that. That's like the only take I can think of that I disagree with him on, and even then, not necessarily in totality, just the specific sentiment. Overall, he's fucking awesome. I love his takes. He's super, like, his personality is amazing. So, like, if you guys want a fun creator who's no nonsense and will call shit out and call it out how it should be called out, which is just blunt, aggressive, and to the point, you will not find a better creator than Razor Fist for that. Like, I love him to death. And again, it says a lot that I only have one take I firmly disagree with him on, and it's over a nerd thing. But everything else, like, I agree with him on for the most part. Off the top of my head, anyway. There's probably a couple other things I've disagreed with him over the years, but minor things, I'd say. He was gonna watch the Conquer's Bad Fur Day one, but it's 4 hours long. What? The Conquer's Bad Fur Day. Wait, what did I miss? The typical parts and everything. Heard he came out with a graphic novel. I think Razorfist, he was working on a Western graphic novel with an artist. I don't know if it. I know they were working on it. I don't know if it's come out yet, so I cannot say too much about that. If it did come out, I haven't heard anything about it as of yet. But I hope it's doing well if it is already up. Battletech predates Armored Core. Battletech stole from Gundam, Star Wars, and Kurosawa a lot. Yeah. Hold on. I think I missed something. A female MC does not equal girl boss. Correct. Aliens versus Captain Marvel, for example. I was gonna say Red Sonja, but I guess that works as an example too. He really doesn't like 40k since he thinks it stole from IPs he likes and pushed them out of the sun. Yeah, I have heard it like, yeah, that's why he puts it that way. And again, that's where my disagreement with Razorfist stems. Is it's clearly a very biased way he puts it, and again, I normally respect the spitefulness he kind of spews out because it's towards a lot of things that deserve that spitefulness. And though I think 40k at current deserves spite for all that's happened with the woke stuff, he despised it before that, and yeah, for those reasons. He does think that it stole from things that deserve the limelight more than 40k did, but I think he's not being fair in understanding that it does take talent and creativity to take all those things, yes, admittedly stolen from other media, but it does take talent to take those things and put them together in a cohesive way. Because if you take those same elements, let's go back to 1987 and let's say different people did 40k and took all those things and threw them together in a far more haphazard way, 40k would be just as shit as an unknown. Well, it wouldn't be it'd be shit, and it would be as unknown as those medias he likes. The reason it got popular and people really liked it is because the culmination of those things was done in a creative and careful way. It was done correctly. That's why 40k became what it did. So I think he's being unfair and not considering that. But yeah, you're right. The reason for that is he has a passionate love for Dune and a lot of those other medias that 40k took from, and because of that, it's resulted in him being a little harsher to 40k than I think it deserves fundamentally. Wurzag's Morky Mischief, welcome. F. Gusto, welcome to stream. Andy Chambers is now on the writing/dev team for Conflict 47. Might get a new edition out of it. Ooh, nice. I hope to hear more about that. I really hope Conflict 47 starts getting some novels. Hopefully written by people who are either politically disconnected or are at the very least, like if I have to deal, especially with like a war game like that, if I have to deal with someone who's politically like minded for their writing, just give me a right-leaning writer. I sometimes write, if it's hyper right-leaning, it can be kind of cringe too, but I can expect like more conservative writers to at least have more fun with it. The left is just preach, 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 preach. It's annoying as shit. Spooky Heathen, welcome to the stream. Got into 40k when I was 8 because the box art looked cool. When it had actual art on it and not just a picture of the model. Yes. Those were better days. Yeah. Actually, now that you point that out, yeah, pretty much all the boxes just show the model now. I didn't even really think about that. But yeah, I guess that has changed over the years. To be fair, though, like, when you're buying the models, you do, like, it is better in a way. Like, if in the back of the box is the artwork, and on the front of the box it shows, like, the miniatures, I think that, you know, helps kind of. Cheers for the welcome. Seen a few of your vids. Oh, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed them. Has anyone read the new Emperor's Children novel? I have not read. I stopped reading all the new stuff. Like, before the Femstodes thing, I stopped reading this. The only thing I've read that's new lately is The End and the Death, Volume 3, and boy, did I suffer through that. I'm saying this rhetorically. I do actually know what happened, but I don't know what happened to the fucking writers. Like, I do. They went fucking high. Well, they were always woke, but they've lost their minds. Like, the writing in that book, writing in that book was terrible. Not even for woke reasons. Like, that, the Emperor, Horus got killed with a shiv. I can't get over that. He got killed with a fucking shiv. And, yeah, oh. Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Horus got shanked. If you guys see... Oh, I'll just pull it up. I'll just pull it up. Hold on. Hopefully I won't get the stream taken down, but let me pull up the segment. Because in the Voxwork podcast, we actually talked about it. Which episode was it? I think it was episode 5. Nope. Oh, no. It was, Wait, no. It was episode 3. I almost clicked on the wrong episode. Us to bring someone. Oh, I guess it is this one. So it was episode 5. I'm gonna do it. Let me find the part. All right, so this I for the Voxwork podcast episode 5. If you want to see like the whole podcast episode, we talked about this at length. But this is this. I'll play the audio. So this is the audio segment that we took from the audiobook that explains it. Post on the web around that. I'll see you again.
You cannot ask him for forgiveness. You don't dare, and you can't speak anyway. But he can see it in your eyes. You were too weak to resist them then, and you will be too weak in another moment when they relent and replenish you with their abominable gifts. Your eyes beg him for mercy, a son to his father. End this. End it now if you can.
He did!
If that is even possible.
That was my editing.
End it before it is too late. If you can't do it, no one can. The burning stops. The psychic beam abates. You sway, gasping. Your father has a knife.
That's a lot of damage!
An old stone thing.
I'm cheeky. What can I say?
What is it? It's so small in his hand, so ugly. That won't do it. That won't be enough. He seems to hesitate.
Even Horus was
reluctant.
Disappointed with the knife.
You clench in sudden spasm and convulsion and cry out. The power is returning. It is flowing back into you with great rapidity, as though the old four are suddenly desperate to restore their gifts.
This was a mistake!
What do they know? What have they seen that makes them act in such haste? Your father looks at the knife. I wait for you, and I forgive you. He drives it into your heart.
Or something. but the Emperor got stabbed. sorry, the Horus got stabbed. So the Emperor stabbed Horus. That is the retcon that they did in the End of the Death Volume 3. Yes, and yes, the whole point of it is to open the door so Horus can come back. As opposed to the traditional lore, which is that the fucking Emperor Kamehameha'd his ass out of existence. Like, the old lore was always that the Emperor, after the Horus killed that man who stood in his way to defend him and got obliterated for his trouble, it was in that moment that the Emperor was like, oh shit, he's truly lost. He just killed this innocent person in front of me. Although he should have figured that out long before this point. But the point, he's like, oh shit, he's too far gone. I have to stop him. So he uses all of his psychic power to blast Horus, and that initial blast like knocks him out of his corruption for just a brief moment. And once he's broken his connection, once the Emperor broke his connection from the Chaos Gods, Horus is like devastated. Like, he starts to cry and shit. And he's just like, what have I done? And the Emperor, realizing how destroyed his heart is, that Horus is that downtrodden at the realization of the betrayal he's just done, that he relieves his son of his pain and hits him with another psychic blast so powerful, he erases him from existence. Erases him in totality. That was the original lore. The new lore? He's got a shiv. The Emperor shanks the bitch. So, yeah, I don't give a damn whatever new shit they write. I don't give a shit. Nothing they do could be worse than this shit. Oh, God. For me, like, that was before the Femstody situation. That was already bad enough. Like, this made me completely downtrodden on any new books. Femstody's just made it so much easier to boycott everything. Like, holy crap. He got shivved. For fuck's sake, it's Erda all over again. It is a similar level of fuck you to the fans. Yeah, like 40K took a real beating from these last few years. And again, not even just wokeness, it's just the writers have gotten a lot lazier, a lot less caring. Granted, that's been an issue for decades. But by God, have we hit such a low point. Curtis, welcome to the stream. Good evening. How are you? Well, at least it's past my bedtime. Hello, talk to you later. Talk to you later, man, and you have a good one, okay? And you take care of yourself. And I saw you DM me on Discord. I'll get back to you. But thank you, man. And rest well. GW, unreliable narrator. Yeah, sure. Bad writing multiplied. Matt Ward levels are bad. Honestly, this is gonna sound like very heretical, especially since I really fucking hate Ultramarines. But honestly, I kind of miss Matt Ward. A little bit, I really fucking hate Ultramarines. But this is what we get after Matt Ward. This is the stuff we get without Matt Ward. I kind of miss his writing now, because as much as it was biased as fuck, I don't think it was ever this fucking bad. Matt Ward. Matt Ward is a very infamous writer for 40k. He is very much the face of Ultramarine standing. The guy is pretty much responsible for the notion that the Ultramarines are the protagonists of the Imperium. He did a lot of because before Matt Ward, and it's not entirely true. Before Matt Ward, there was already a little bit of a focus on the Ultramarines being like the main characters, so to speak, of the Imperium. But Matt Ward is what really cemented it. Like, he was super biased towards them. He was extreme, like, he made them Gary Stews a lot of the time too. Lots of plot armor, the guy clearly salivated over Gilliman and shit. And before Matt Ward, there was still a notion that the Ultramarines were kind of on the same level as everybody else, despite the fact that they were the most prevalent legion / chapter still overall. But there was still that notion. There was still that notion that they weren't better necessarily than every other chapter or / form of legion. They weren't necessarily, anything like that, and they could be just as much of failures as well as successes. They still felt like they were on the level of Imperial Fist and everything else. After Matt Ward, they became the main fucking characters. Like, every time any other chapter was about to die, and just like the Devastation of Baal, when like the Blood Angels are all about to fall and the Ultramarines show up like Superman in like a fucking cape. Some of them actually literally wearing red capes. Just like, we are here to save you. Like, moments to be fair, I don't think Matt Ward wrote that book. No, that book was written by Guy Haley, to be fair. But that notion about the Ultramarines was cemented by him, that they were like the main characters. I think other writers just kind of carried it forward, like Guy Haley and the sorts. So, yeah. Do you remember when Dan Abnett was enjoyable? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Yeah, I remember. I miss those days. Dan Abnett is probably like my biggest disappointment amongst all the writers, because I remember, like, he used to be like my favorite writer. Like, I always had, like, I loved ADB for Hell's Reach, but that's the only thing I liked him for. Every other work he had, I hated, or well, not hated. That might be strong. Disliked, quite a bit, but I loved him for Hell's Reach. I also loved Dan Abnett for Horus Rising and other such novels. I really liked his earlier work for the series, and to see his fall from grace from where he started has been such a disappointment. It has been truly disappointing. Yeah, because thing is, I love his work with Horus Rising so much. I got the Masterworks like hard copy of Horus Rising. Like, I love that fucking book. Graham McNeil's your favorite because of Fulgrim? Really? I mean, no offense to Graham McNeil, I guess. Like, I don't dislike him. Not my favorite, though. Although, granted, I don't have a current favorite anymore. They're all suck. But back in the day, I would definitely have said Dan Abnett was my guy. And I did really like Guy Haley as well, some of the time. But Dan Abnett was my favorite writer early on, and seeing that fall from grace has been depressing. Legion was really good until they fucked it up in a short story. Cabal and Al together had so much potential, but nope. All the Cabal had to be murdered. Yeah. I still love the Gaunt's Ghost books. Some of my favorite. I can understand loving the Gaunt's Ghost books. There's actually quite a bit of gems with Gaunt's Ghost. YouTube just get... Wait, there's a D&D ad? Really? Random. Conrad Kerr's Primarch novel is pretty good. Yeah, I like the Conrad Kerr's one. Generally, like, again, like, I would argue some of the 40k books over the year, like, especially the older ones, like 2006, 2007, between those years and 2014, 2013, we had some real goddamn gems. Like, some of those novels are, in my opinion, in terms of scale and, like, epicness, were on the level of, like, for me anyway, Lord of the Rings. Now, I know that's blasphemy to say, but genuinely, like, some of those novels felt as grand and as, like, poignant to me as Lord of the Rings. So, I guess that's what makes it hurt all the more for me personally, to see it drop from where it once was. I am very glad Tolkien was from the generation he was, because yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Like, I'm glad he was from the generation he was, and yeah. Although Amazon is currently trying to ruin his legacy, depressingly. Not afraid to admit I teared up a bit when certain characters died in Ghost books. Yeah. I miss those days, man. I miss those days just sitting around reading, like, those early Horus Heresy books, and then reading, like, the offshoot books, like, and falling in love, man. Like, 40k, I fell in love with it very much when I was a teenager, and it's been a huge part of my escapism and dealing with shit for so long. So for it to be in the condition that it is, and it is a truly depressing fall. But upside is that old stuff is still there. They can't take it away. I mean, they can take away the digital elements of it, but they can never take away my copies of, like, I have a bunch of the books behind me. They can't take that away from my at all. They could try, but they will not succeed. They cannot erase the epicness that they once. Well, the current. I can't say they currently, because the people who are there now are not the people who made 40k back in the day. They're gone. The writers, I guess, are the same, but they've become different people effectively. They've drank the Kool-Aid so much they're not the same people who wrote those books that they did back then. Hey Havoc, how you doing, you sexy beast? Whoever has allowed Lord of the Rings to be used these days needs to be taken out back. I believe that was Christopher Tolkien's son, Tolkien's grandson. I think he's the one who gave him permission. He was actually in an interview too, where he said some pretty horrendous shit. He made it quite clear he's the apple who fell not only far from the tree, but got ran over by a lawnmower. Like, that apple fell far from the fucking tree. Because there's an interview out there where that particular Tolkien, he was like, oh yeah, you know, those old novels, they're like really long, and there's several parts I thought that they could definitely be trimmed down. Now keep in mind, he's not the son of Tolkien, he's the grandson of Tolkien, so this is the generation after Christopher Tolkien. So for him to talk like that about the legacy that paid for his trust fund, you got some real balls on you, you douchebag. That's another great thing about books. That's a great thing about any kind of physical media, like including your miniatures, by the way, like your old minis. Don't ever toss those out, because if you take care of them, they can last for a long ass time. Physical owned objects cannot be destroyed or taken away from you. Digital ones can be. That's why I hate it that more and more every year that digital media is starting to cost as much as some physical medias. Former lore helped me through lockdowns. I'll fight for it however we need to. Yep. And the best way to fight for it is just don't give GW any money. Make them feel the pain of their choices. And the upside is that won't destroy 40k because we own the books, we own the minis, we can find mutual spots to hang out, including garages or just hobby shops that aren't owned by Warhammer stores. Just hang out and play. Actually, I don't know if there isn't a Warhammer store near where I live. There's just hobby shops that sell Warhammer stuff and have Warhammer tables set up. But question for those who do have like a Warhammer store near where they live. A question I have about that is, do those stores in question, do you have to pay to play? Like, if you sit in to play a game of 40k, do you have to pay money for that? Or can you just come in and go, hey, I'd like to set up a game with my friend, and we brought all our own miniatures and stuff, and, like, not buy anything? If you can do that, to be cheeky, I'd say go to Warhammer stores and start playing, but don't buy a damn thing. Like, go in, play the game, and then walk out. Be an asshole. Two thin coats. Met some guys. Turns out we all like 40k. Now we're running Dark Heresy games. Oh, nice. Yeah, one thing I'm curious about trying at some point, though probably won't happen soon. I've been having the thing is currently right now, I'm running like a D&D campaign with my friends. Although we've had some issues the last like 4 or 5 sessions. I'm gonna try and fix that before I make any decisions about anything going forward, but. I do at some point want to play Eternal Crusade. No. That's not it. Deathwatch. The Deathwatch TTRPG. I do want to try that out at some point. Because I have a copy of the PDF for the rulebook for it. That would be a fun thing to try out. That was fun. I DM'd one of the adventure modules. Nice. After studying with some of my friends of mine to do a one-shot at Dark Heresy or Rogue Trader, I am slowly converting them. Do it. Convert them to the dark side. I mean, to the light side. Light side of heresy, which is no heresy. Say my buddies aren't interested in it. Maybe convince them one day. You just gotta wear them down. Yeah, every time they say I'm not interested, back off. And then, like, wait, like, a week or two or something. And then be like, so, hey, you know, I was wondering if you guys, no, we don't want to do it, man. Come on, like, stop asking. You're like, all right. Wait a month. Come back again. Eventually, they'll either do one of two things. They'll either stop being your friend, or they'll be like, all right, fine, we'll play a damn game of it. The one time I went to play, the manager was trying to sell me a Manta and Titan like a used car salesman. Homie, ain't no one caught an extra $1,800 around. True enough. Although, I've heard that and I think that's kind of evidence of that, is that they're required to sell a certain amount of models or certain models per day. Or otherwise it reflects poorly on them as, like, shop owners. I don't know if that's true. It sounds true, because that's kind of how sales work here in the United States. But I think they are required to sell either a certain number of models or just specific models throughout the day. So I think that's why they pulled the whole used cars salesman shtick. I think it's because they're actually required to be essentially used car salesmen. Because they need to get that shit sold. Otherwise, they get a poor performance review, and it can lead to their well, not the resignation, their firing. I'm really tongue-tied today. I keep saying the wrong fucking words. Yo, Nathan. What's doing? Good morning. How's your laptop? Still busted? They have a weekly quota just to account for the slow days. Yeah, I figured. Better a weekly quota than a daily one, though. Daily ones are killers for any sales group. GameStop used to do that as well with its employees. I think they still do. Where they try and, like, upsell you stuff. Making sure I'm painting all the stuff that needs to be yellow. Yeah, I think we're good. But the Manta, really? He knew I was playing Imperium, not Weeb. That might have just been the one that he... Sometimes you take a shot in the dark to see if someone has an interest in, like, an army that they're not actively playing. Sometimes it's actually the smarter move to pull when you think about it, because it's like, okay, they're playing Imperium, which means they have Imperium models, but they don't have these. That might mean they don't have these other models, and they might just not be thinking about getting them. So let me remind them that this exists and see if they're interested. Again, it's a salesman tactic. Like, sometimes it makes more sense to recommend something that they're clearly not using. Because it might mean that it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not playing it because they don't want it. It might be that they're not playing it because they haven't thought to try it out or get it. And that's why they pull out the salesman shtick. Although usually that's when they find out real quick whether they did have an interest or not, based on your response. You do like Tau. I hate Tau so much. They'd probably be cooler in a different setting, but for the setting they're in, they are so out of place. Benjamin Close. Cavantus. Hello there. Pulling an Obi-Wan Kenobi as he shows up in this bitch. I take it it's morning time over in Germany. You like the infantry units and 2 crisis suits? Lore-wise, they're lacking a lot. Oh, massively. They are definitely lacking lore-wise. Indeed, I am just about to start working. Oh! Well, you work from home, you'll be fine. Hammer 13 Thor, welcome to stream. Tau out of place, Necrons are out of place. Necrons ruin the whole universe because must special space and sand pharaoh powers. Talk about major plot armor. I think they fit a lot better than the Tau do. The Tau are anime Gundam alien, blue aliens. The Necrons, at least, they're grimdark, they're menacing. And I'll agree there's a little bit of a Mary Sue-ness to them, with a little overpoweredness. But they're a lot more gothic and dark, and far, especially with their backstory, with how like all their souls got eaten by freaking gods. I think they fit the setting quite well thematically. The Tau, they are dreadful. They do not fit thematically at all. Aesthetically, they're way too freaking anime weeboo style mechs and stuff, which in and of itself doesn't mean they don't fit for 40k, but it's also the lore that helps that. They're not grim, they're not gothic, they are very anti 40k in terms of their themes and design. So I'm sorry, but you're not going to win that argument with me at all. The Necrons have a far more appropriate fitting into the setting than the Tau do. The Tau are they're antithetical to a lot of the themes of 40k. Like, one big theme of 40k for the longest time was that everything has been done. Like, new technology is not being researched because the Imperium is a dogmatic shithole that won't continue to develop new technology. The Necrons already invented all the technology they really could / wanted to, up to the point of being what they are. Every other faction was pretty much stagnant or on the border of being destroyed, including the Necrons to an extent. The Tau came in and they're like, hey, we got like freaking this really powerful like mechs and shit, dude, and we got these like laser guns and oh yeah, like we got these like mobile shielding stuff. Like, man, we're like, yeah, what's up with all you old guys? Like, all this tech stuff, like all that shit's like thousands of years old, bruh. Like, haven't you tried out like this Mantis tank? This stuff is advanced, top of the line technology, bruh. It's just they suck. I hate the Tau. They don't belong in 40k. If they ever made a weeboo sci-fi space war game and they put the Tau in that, they'd belong. They'd be fine over there. They don't fit 40k at all. Like, someone took a concept and an execution that belonged in a different setting and dropped it haphazardly in the wrong setting. That's the Tau. And Votann are very much the same situation. Although they're kind of worse in my opinion, because they were supposed to be squats. But they're a reinvention of an old, cooler idea for DRG ripoff. Yeah, working from home for me is more like 50-50 painting and actually working. I mean, hey, your paintings are amazing, so that's a gift to the universe that you get to continue making all those sexy models. Asmogan, you play the orcs, why don't you try the Ultramarines? I fucking hate the Ultramarines, but I don't want to play the Blue Boys. What about the Sisters of Battle? the GW. I see what you were saying, but Ultramarines? What? I confused what you're trying to say. You play the Orcs, why don't you try the Ultramarines? Because the Ultramarines are gay and the Orcs are not. That would generally be why. But I don't want to play the Blue Boys. What about the Sisters of Battle, the GW? I'm good. Are you drunk? I'm not sure what you're saying. The Tau would fit in something like Star Trek setting, like the Orville or StarCraft. Oh yeah, they'd fit those kind of settings way better. Like they would be a cool addition to like a StarCraft 3 situation, right? Like as a fourth species, they'd fit right in with those settings. But nah, they really don't belong at 40k. Sorry, stretching my back. Orcs better than Ultra Smurfs? Hell yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Orcs are my main army that I've been collecting over the last decade to 11 years. Space Marines was my second or third army I started collecting. And that wasn't until way later. I've been an Orc guy for the longest time. I have like 4,000 points of Orcs I've collected over the years. To be fair, like 800 points of it is just that fucking Stompa over there. And that was a bitch to assemble, let me tell you. Like that. If you ever want a project that is going to make you want to tear your fucking hair out, get a Stompa. The instructions are god-awful. Like, you will be interpreting it like hieroglyphics. Oh, God. Orcs are mid, but a ton of fun. I hate to admit you're correct, especially in 10th edition. They suck as a faction. They really have sucked for 10th edition, and 9th edition they sucked pretty much all throughout. But that's because they've really robbed the Orcs of a lot of their identity. The Orcs have not been eaten good for a long time. And it does suck that their best units now are the Beast Snaggas, and they have been since 9th edition, which I fucking despise. The Beast Snaggas shouldn't be so wholesale better than playing like a more mech, like techie, scrappy focused Orc army. Orcs have never been forgiven for the Green Crusade. I was making GW salesperson into a used car dealer. Oh, okay, that's what you're doing. I was very confused. Trying to sell you a piece of shit car. But you want to buy something for your family. Orcs kicked ass in the beginning of 6th edition before they nerfed the fuck out of the Death Star units. Yeah. AKA the biker Death Stars. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I got into late 6th edition, early 7th. That's when I started 40k. And I got in through Orcs. Orcs were how my best friend Dan introduced me to the setting. I learned about their lore first. Fell in love. Collected the models. I own a shit ton of them. I have played multiple tournaments throughout the years with them. Innumerable amount of games with them. Through multiple editions. They're my favorite unit. Blobs of Orcs are pretty beast in melee. Oh yeah. I mostly play Orc Boy hordes. I have enough models to do like Mech Rush and other strategies, but I tend to stick with my Orc Boy spam. Just have a giant, huge. It takes. I do feel bad for my opponents. Just roll buckets. Yeah, it is like that. Like you have to bring so many fucking D6s. It's cartoonish. But like I always feel bad for my opponents at tournaments because. Especially the 2K tournaments, 2,000 points. Because they're like, I went up against a Custodes player in the last tournament I played, and he set up like his models and he was done in like a couple minutes after we went back and forth. And then I was still setting up my Orc Boy squads after like 10 minutes after we'd started. And he's just sitting there waiting. He's like, how many of these are there? I'm like, don't worry, you're going to shoot half of them off the board before I even get to you. But... oh, God. I felt bad for him, though. Because it takes forever to move all of those, especially if you don't have unit trays. Yeah. But I love Orcs. They've been my main army for so long. Bananas got shafted hard in 10th. You mean the Bad Moons? Is that or are you talking about something else? Bananas. Oh, Custodes. Oh, yeah. Whew. Ah! Yeah. Whew. Whew. Have you guys actually read the rules? Like, I read the rule changes before I read the Femstodes edition. The Femstodes edition took over the conversation, but have you read those fucking new rules that are in that codex? They're so fucking bad. I'm not even a Custodes player, and they're so fucking bad. I do not know what they're thinking. I have no fucking clue what they were thinking. Like, they already fucked the Custodes up the ass with the Femstodes thing, but they fucked them up the ass even worse with the rule changes. They are bottom barrel army right now. For an elite army, they are bottom fucking barrel. It is bad. Guard hasn't even got a codex. Oh yeah, they'll be the last to get one. Guard tend to get shafted in terms of like early stuff. At least the last couple of editions. Although I think in 9th, weren't they one of the first to get a codex? Well, not one of the first, but I think they were, I don't know, like 5th or 6th to get their codex. I am also really depressed that the Solar Auxilia and the plastic got announced, but then with the Femstodes crap, I now can't get them. Don't get me wrong, I'll easily find a 3D printable variation of them that'll probably look better, but I was kind of excited for that kit. But you had to ruin it, GW. You had to burn the house down. Guard got fucked. Oh, so they were one of the last to get in 9th. Yeah, so it'll probably be the same scenario in 10th, then they'll probably be just short of 11th edition before we see a Guard Codex then. I don't know why I thought they got it earlier on. To be fair, I don't play Guard, so it's not like I would keep track too well. Femstodes exist and GW nerfs them into the sub-basement. What do they mean by this? Oh, I gotta hold in that joke. I'm on YouTube. Oh, sometimes it's not easy holding in these jokes. Not at all. So sometimes those sexist jokes, they just at the tip of your tongue. You know, you kind of like a crack addict trying to hold back. You know, like I don't need to say it. I don't need to say it. I'm clean, man. I'm clean, man. The jokes. Off YouTube, I can go ham, but I can't go ham on YouTube. They'll get me. They've done it before. Interesting question. How are Eldar Grimdark... Excuse me. Interesting. How are Eldar Grimdark compared to the town, in your opinion? Eldar were there first and got all the cool old art work, but they're not Grimdark other than their fall from Grey / Slanesh. Well, that is the thing is, you say that like that. They're like, oh, well, they're not Grimdark outside of this big thing that makes them Grimdark. Because the thing is that does make them Grimdark. Like, you say it like that's a small thing. That's the backbone of their modern day lore. That's why the Drukhari are the way the Drukhari are. That's why they fucking capture people and rape them to death. Fuck, YouTube's gonna get me on that one. Grape them to death. That's why the Drukhari torture them and turn them into freaking furniture and fillet them alive. It's why the Eldar, every time they die, they're doomed to get their literal souls butts chewed out by Slanesh for all eternity. Like, you say that like that's nothing. It's like, other than literally, like, the entire backbone of their entire faction, what makes them Grimdark? What are you talking about, man? That's like saying, other than everything to do with the Imperium, what makes the Imperium Grimdark? What? What do you want me to do with that? Are you kidding me? My guy, that's pretty big. It's not something small. Like, we're not talking about like a tiny thing here. Harley Quinns are probably your favorite in the whole setting. They're not mine. I do get why people like them, but they're definitely not like that big for me. I do like the Harlequins though, but I could never collect them or paint them and do them justice because I fucking hate checkerboards. I hate that. I hate doing those. I tried doing that on a golf model once, and I'm very OCD about how clean my lines are when I paint. So seeing how dirty those lines were when I tried that, I nearly like tismed out of my skin. I'm like, ugh! I just painted over it. It's like all black. Gigakuma. Okay, no. For a second there, I thought you were someone else for a second. Gigakuma, welcome to stream. Hail. The Eldar fall and the creation of one of the 4 Chaos Gods. Yeah, it's just a normal Tuesday. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's pretty big. You can't act like that's small. Like, other than the entire backbone of their faction. Like, I'm flabbergasted by the way that was put. Chris Thompson, that was the main reason why I switched to Space Marines. Not because I liked them better than the Tau, but I just got sick and tired of folks constantly ragging on the faction I liked. I mean, I'm not happy to hear that. Like, that's not a reason you should stop. Like, I rag on them all day long, but I don't rag on people who play them. Like, if you play Tau, that's fine. Like, it's your taste or your interest. But I don't think you should stop playing it just because people rag on them. Now, if people rag on you because you play them, those are assholes. Dude, you shouldn't give them the time of day. You know? Like, I'll tease some of my Tau friends if I know they're, they could take it. But if I'll leave them alone if they can't. And it's just trying to joke around and good fun. I do rag on the faction very earnestly, though, because I do think they don't belong in 40k. They're out of place aesthetically and thematically. They're very antithetical to 40k. But, yeah, just someone to piss off. Yeah, if someone's ragging on you as a person for playing them, that's just a dickhead. Like don't give them a time of day. If they're ragging on the faction, don't let it bother you. That's their opinion about the faction. Doesn't need to bother you. Warhammer still taking L's? Always. And every day. Unfortunately, every time they take an L like they normally do on a day-to-day, they just constantly bring up the fact like, well, we got 40k because of Fem Studies. Which is not entirely wrong, but they are wrong in the essence of it. They still don't own the hobby. They think they do because the custodians of the IPs holders have bent the knee, but they forget that, the entire fan base can play 40K without a single dime being exchanged to GW for it, so. But yeah, they're still taking L's. Sadly, no notable ones right now, though. It's mostly just the standard L's. Just say Pulse Rifles go burr. I mean, yeah, you can just pull that card. You've won me over. I find the Eldar just as annoying as the Tau, if not more. No, that's fair. I do, for me, the craft worlds. It's more just, it's less to do with the fact that in their totality of the lore, I find them bothersome. I don't like the Eldar because GW doesn't like them either. In the sense that they have, like, what love have the Eldar gotten from GW over the last 20 years? Like, they've gotten nothing. Like, the Mandrake's announcement for Kill Team was a super hype for Eldar players, because it's like the first new plastic kit for them in decades. And it's not even for 40K proper, it was for Kill Team. So they have to get Kill Team boxes to try and pad their 40K armies with for a new model. Like, that's how dry, like, off the tap they're barely getting anything. So that's lit. So that stagnation in terms of any kind of dedication from lore and stuff from GW has made it very. To be fair, I don't love them hardly at all anyway. But yeah, like, just with how much they've stagnated, there's not much to love. Like, they've left them so staggered. It's very disappointing. You've been playing Craftful for ages. I'm glad that you like them. It's just, for me, they've been painfully ignored, and they deserve so much better. Like, I do feel bad for Tau players, like, a lot. They deserve so much better. Because they're a faction that have the potential to be really grimdark and really cool and have some characters that are awesome. And the fact that they have, unless you're like a hardcore Eldar player, right, and you've read into like every codex and every like little mention of them in the books, there's not a ton there. Craftworld's got some new kits during 9th. I remember them getting a updated kit for what's the basic Eldar infantry? It's the gunline infantry. I think didn't they get a new kit for that? I remember making jokes about it because I looked at a before and after picture of like the old mold and the new one, and all they really did was fix the head. Like, the sculpt still looks fairly identical to the old one. The Fire Warrior? No. We're not talking Tau, we're talking Eldar. We got new Guardians. Yeah, I think that's the one I'm thinking of. Guardians. No, not Guardsmen. Guardians. You plebeian Google search. Yeah, these are the ones that got new stuff for. Yeah, these are the ones they got updates for. Yeah, so they got new heads, but the poses I've noticed are pretty much identical. And the armor doesn't look that much fixed up either to me. Have they got new Hawks yet? I do not know. Oh, I didn't know they got Jetbox and Warlocks for new models. I guess I missed that announcement. So, yeah, by the sounds of it, then they got a lot of love. Model-wise, anyway. I only heard about the Guardians, so I thought that's all they updated. But yeah, Drukari at the very least, they got fucking nothing. I don't know what it is. Well, I guess I do. The Eldar are not very popular. I know there's a few of you here who do really like them, but be honest with yourselves. In the grand scheme of the 40k community, I don't think they're very popular. With some very specific people, they hit a perfect niche. There are people who like them a lot, and those people are very passionate about the Eldar and the Drukari. But in the grand scheme of the 40k community, unfortunately, I think that they're not very well loved and not very well collected. And part of that is GW's fault. I don't think it's because the faction itself sucks fundamentally. They've been left to languish with nothing and little love sent their way. So because of that, there's so little for people to latch on to be honest. So I think that's what leads to that kind of outcome. Has got a favorite orc war boss. It used to be Gazkul. I know it sounds very basic, bitch, but come on, he is actually really cool. It used to be Gazkul, but lore-wise, I still like him, but he's not my favorite anymore. Probably, well, Tuska is an orc. He is a war boss, right? He's not just a big orc. Yeah, Tuska. So Tuska Demon Killer would probably be my favorite at current. I really loved Gazkul, but the part that makes me harder for me to love him is his current stats on the tabletop and stuff. They suck. I don't know how else to put it. Like, he sucks right now. Like, for his expense, he's a good model for his stats, but for the point cost he's just not worth playing. They might have fixed that with, like, the recent points updates, but his point that he is shit for the points that he costs. Like, you're better off putting different models in his place on the tabletop, to be honest. Like, he's not tough enough, in my opinion. Like, also, you guys recall that, like, when it was revealed that old Baelai, when he died, when Yarrick died, and, like, there was this big, like, community motion for, like, Gazkul v. Angron. Problem is, if you look at their stats, it's a squash match. Gazkul is no match for Angron. At fucking all. I don't know, like, the community was so hyped for that, but if you look at their stats, ain't no fucking chance. Have you heard of Wazdwaka Gutsmek? Yes, I have. He's cool. I still like Tuska more. And Gazkul more. Gazkul got tough enough in the less lethal edition. Impossible. The thing is, like, people would argue it's like, oh, well, he's not supposed to be as tough as, like, as a Primarch. I would argue he is. He's supposed to be, on top of being the physically biggest orc, he's supposed to be the orc. He's like their war boss. He's the big guy. He should be at least equal stats to Guilliman. And he's weaker than fucking Guilliman. Stats does not equal lore. I know that. But the problem is, it kind of kills the love of the character lore-wise when you're playing him on the tabletop and he's a weak bitch. Like, he gets shot off the table immediately. Yeah, he's supposed to be the second coming of orcs, so in my opinion, he should have fucking stats equivalent to at least Guilliman. He's supposed to be the big boy of the orcs. Why is he weaker than Guilliman? Why does he have less movement than a normal war boss? It's so depressing to have such a cool character, a cool model. I play him on the tabletop, and he gets shot off the board round one, and not even by great units from the other team. he has less movement than a standard war boss. Because a standard war boss has 6 inches of movement. Gaz has 5. They did Gaz that dirty now? Yes, for 10th edition, he's been screwed over. Hold on, let me pull up the card. I got my index cards. Hold on. Gotta fix my chair. It fell off my thing. Get back. There we go. I have a little platform I have my desk chair on because it's a little low. There we go. Okay. Alright, so he's the first card in here. Hold on. Alright, so Tuska. I'm gonna set you over here, my good friend. Alright, so Gazkul. Did I say Tuska? Gazkul Thraka. Alright, Gaz has 5 inches of movement, 6 toughness, a 2-up save, which to be fair is actually pretty good. 10 wounds, which is decent, 6 leadership, and 4 objective control. Now let me find a standard war boss in here. I think I have it towards the top only. Actually, wait, hold on. I think I'm pulling from the bottom of the deck. Damn cards. Actually, it'd be faster if I take all the cards. War boys. There it is. Found it. How the hell does he have only 6 leadership? I know! Isn't it great? Being an orc player is amazing. Alright, so War Boss. 6 inches of movement. And keep in mind, this is a basic ass. This isn't even mecha armor. Basic fucking War Boss. 1 more inch of movement than Gaz. 1 less toughness. 4 up save, which to be that's like the big difference. 4 up save, 6 wounds, 6 leadership. So a basic fucking war boss has the same leadership as Gaz. Ah, my card's all falling apart. 6 leadership is the best in the game? What isn't? What are you talking about? Hold on. Doesn't Gilliman have like have more than that? Leadership. I have to pull up Wahapedia, don't I? Wahapedia. Pretty sure Gilliman has better than that. The lower the leadership is, the more likely I to pass the test. Okay, well, that being said, that means I immediately have a card that's better than that. So you're still wrong then. Because Angron has 5 leadership. Pretty sure there's a Inquisitor who has like a 4-up leadership. 6. I only have the Death Guard, so to be fair, most of them are not going to have very good leadership. Not Death Guard. Fucking War Leaders. Yeah, so most of the World Leaders have 6 up leadership. I'm pretty sure Gilliman has a cartoonishly good one. Pretty sure I read that. Wikipedia. Space Marines. Load up data sheets. Wait, what? Why isn't he listed? Am I on the wrong page? Space Marines. Data sheet. Why is Gilliman not listed on Wikipedia? Is he in a different area? What the hell? Am I blind? Alright, characters. Ancient Terminator, Apothecary, Blade Guard, Ancient Captain, Professor Armor, Terminator, Jump Pack, Chaplain, Terminator, Judicar, Librarian, Tech Marine. Where the fuck is Gilliman? I never thought I'd be saying that, but where the fuck is Gilliman? Okay, I'm gonna cheat and click search this site and hit Gilly. Gilliman McGillicuddy. Gimme. Robert Gilliman. Alright, here we are. Nope, he has 5 up. Okay, I thought he had 4. Well, anyway. So Gaz has worse leadership than Angron and Gilliman. And again, I'm pretty sure there's an Inquisitor with a 4 up leadership. So Gilliman is a 5 up. So point is, Gaz does not have the best leadership of the game. Anyway. So yeah, standard war boss comparison. So they have the same leadership. Oh, hold on. Did my camera die? Camera, hello. Uh-oh. It's frozen. I do not know what's going on. That is weird. We may have to end the stream because my camera is not working. That is freaking weird. Camera looks good on this end. No, not my webcam. Wait, what do you mean it looks fine on it? It's not even visible. Are you guys seeing something I'm not? What are you guys talking about? Camera's not even there. Not my webcam, you... The actual important camera. You know, the one to see the miniature? Freaking weird is. Oh, man. Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, because we're gonna have to, if I can't, the only thing I can think of is to restart OBS, because that's the only way I can think to turn it back on. And if I restart OBS, it ends the stream anyway. So, well, we'll probably have to end up there. But I will but to finish my point at least before we wrap up. So yeah, Gaz's stats compared to a war boss's. He has 5 movement versus a war boss's 6. He has 1 more toughness, 6 versus 5. And to be fair, 6 isn't bad, but it should not be that close. It should not be such a close gap. He has 2 up save, 10 wounds, 6 plus leadership, and 4 OC. So the only things he has substantially better than a basic ass war boss, who I should mind you guys costs like 80 points versus Gaz is like 200 something, unless they nerf that. He has better leadership by 2, which is pretty major. He has 4 more wounds, which I'm sorry he needs way more than 4 more wounds than a basic war boss. That's just bad. And the same leadership as a war boss. No. I'm sorry, no. And Angron, the one that like people were really hyping up, was like Angron versus Gazkul, right? Gaz has 5 inches of movement, right? Angron has 14. That's not even just double. That's almost 3 times as much movement. Gaz has 6 toughness. Angron has 11. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. Gazkul's got 6. Angron's got 11. They both have a 2-up save. And Angron's got 16 wounds to Gaz's 10. And Angron has a 5-up leadership versus Gaz's 6. And Angron has a 6 objective control to Gaz's 4. So the orc that should be a borderline, if not on the level of a Primarch, like Gaz, is substantially weaker than Angron. Now again, that is fair to point out. Orcs, tabletop stats do not equal lore. That is true. But you cannot tell me that kills the fun of setting up a World Eaters v Orc match with that thematicness in mind of Gaz v Angron, and it's a squash match. It's a fucking squash match. That is so bad. So, Gaz needs to be buffed quite a bit, because as it stands right now, he's not, for the point that, because he costs as much as a Primarch to field, mind you. He costs as much as the Lion or Gilliman, I think, to field. I could be wrong. They might cost a little bit more than he does. But Gaz is not a cheap model to field, especially with a Horde army like Orcs, where you want numbers. Gaz is too expensive for what you get for him. His abilities don't make up for it either, in my opinion. Like, his abilities are Prophet of the Great Wa, which means while this unit is leading a unit, so while this model, it should say while this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit takes a melee attack, add 1 to the hit roll and add 1 to the wound roll. So that is good. He's a walking Wa, effectively. And he also has the Great Wa banner, which that one I think is actually Makari. I don't think that's Gaz's ability. So if you don't have Makari fielding with Gaz, which, to be fair, you should always field Makari with Gaz. But the Gazkul Wa banner, which is an aura, while a friendly Orcs unit is within 12 inches... Yeah, so at 12 inches of Makari. So it does need to be Makari. So if you don't have Makari or Makari gets killed, this ability becomes null and void. If you have... If you have Call the Wa this battle round, melee weapons equipped by models in that unit have the lethal hits ability. Which is not bad. It's decent, but could be better. But yeah, his abilities just don't make up for his stats. Like, he for the point value that he is, for the stats that he has, versus a lot of other armies' big bads, Gaz is criminally underpowered at the moment. So in an FAQ, they need to buff his ass, because he's just not worth fielding. I fielded him in the 2K tournament I played not too long ago, and he got shot off first thing each round. He got shot off first thing each round. It was depressing. Because he's supposed to be the biggest in the baddest orc, right? And he's got six toughness. That's 1 more toughness than a basic war boss. That's too close. He should be... He should not have a chance to get his ass killed by a freaking basic-ass war boss. But it's not entirely a squash match in that circumstance. You can't even put him in the truck, right? I'd have to double check. I think they changed that for 10th edition. I know in 9th you could. You could put him in a battle wagon or you could put him in a truck. If I recall correctly, I think you could only... If you put him in a truck, though, he's like the only thing that's allowed in it, though. I could be wrong about that. I have to double check. Yeah, some characters and or units shouldn't be brought on the tabletop. This was even a thing back in 6. Yeah. I can one-shot him with a Doomsday Arc. A lot of things get one-shot. Like, he got shot off without getting a single shot or fight. I went up against an Eldar player who was playing the Eldar meta list in the 2K tournament I was playing. And I got shot off round 1. And several of my units got hit with, like, they have a tank, which if you successfully hit a model, that model now has its movement, like, halfened or something like that. It's some weird special effect the Eldar have. And it's broken as shit. And if you're playing an Orc in particular, where charging and wahing is extremely important, and you're fucked if you're slowed down to the point where you can barely move. So, yeah. It sucked. Having Gaz get shot off the field that quickly was definitely depressing. I will not forget that tournament for that reason. To be fair, I don't blame... Like, my opponent was playing his list, he was playing it well, and it hurt all... It just hurt, though. Like, you're bringing what's supposed to be the biggest and the baddest orc, and he's getting shot off the fucking field. Instantly. It doesn't feel good. Now, if it's a case where the other player is just rolling perfectly, you don't feel as bad, right? But when they're missing like half their shots and they still kill him, and they didn't even get that many on him, it just doesn't feel good. It does not feel good. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know what's going on with my DSLR. It's on. It's just not capturing video for some reason. I think it must have had a hiccup or something with the wires. But yeah, I'm gonna keep painting for another. Oh shit! It's almost 2 a.m. and I do work tomorrow. I didn't get that much done. I barely got the yellow on. But I gotta work. Okay, well, I'll wrap up the stream and probably do a little bit more. I'll probably do like 10-15 minutes more of just trying to at least get the base coats done. And I'll stream again soon, hopefully. Tomorrow I got work for most of the afternoon, though, so we'll see. But anyway, I will catch you wonderful folks later. Thank you guys so much for hanging out for the stream. Thank you so much for chatting and hanging. You all are cool. You are awesome. And I hope you have an amazing day. And hopefully I get a decent amount of sleep before I have to work. Night-night. And I guess for half of you, it's morning. BB.